Welcome back, everyone, to another review for The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. This is going to be for episode 5 called Become. Now, in this episode, we are going to talk about spoilers, but later in the spoiler section, this first section here will be spoiler-free. All right, what I would rate this episode, it would be, I think, an 8. I think I'm going to go with an 8 on this. It was a little bit better than the last episode. There was a lot less things that I didn't like or disagreed with or thought could have been better. This episode I enjoyed, with the exception of I don't know how they're going to tie everything up in one more episode without some things getting lost in translation. Now, if I'm wrong and the next episode is flawless and great and really ties it up well, then I'm going to come back and probably rate this episode like a 9, 8.5, 9. But right now I'm going to give it an 8. A solid 8. It's a solid 8. Because again, great performances, good set pieces. The writing was good in this. I pretty much like everything about this with a couple minor little things. So it's a solid 8, I think, on this. Definitely worth watching. But some of my fears that I talked about in the previous video, again, which were in the spoiler section, are seeming to come true. And some of the things that I predicted, and that it worries me for the last episode that we might not get a comprehensive closure to this show. Since this is just a 1-season, 6-episode show, they needed to wrap it all up neatly and tightly in one go in 6 episodes, and I feel like we're going to be having some areas of gray at the least towards the end here. So that's my issues, that's my concerns, but it still is a good episode. I'm just worried about the next one. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and just jump straight into the spoiler section next. So if you haven't seen this, make sure you go ahead and pop out so you don't get any spoils. And yeah, so let's go ahead and jump right into that. All right, guys, welcome to the spoiler section. We're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about this episode now. So obviously, this episode had a lot of Jadis in it. I liked seeing Gabriel again. I actually really appreciated that. And man, I was worried that she shot him, and I was almost positive she did. I thought he was dead. So I'm glad that we didn't have to see her shoot him, because I already hate Jadis. I've never liked Jadis. I hated her when she was Trash Girl. I hated her when she wasn't Trash Girl. I hate her now that she's the CRM girl. There's nothing about her that I like. The only time I was kind of okay with her was when her and Gabriel were kind of a thing. And that wasn't because of her, it was for Gabriel, you know? And Gabriel's a character that I don't think anybody liked in the beginning, but obviously had a ton of character development, came around, and he's one of my favorite characters now of The Walking Dead, what he's become. Not that he's perfect, and he's certainly not the favorite character, or even top 3, but he is in a tier where I don't want him to die, right? So I'm glad that Jadis wasn't the one to kill him, because, man, that would just send me over the moon. In a bad way. So under the moon, I don't know, whatever the reverse of that is. So there's that. But my concerns last week were basically that it seems silly that we were arguing about going back or not going back when Jadis was a thing, the dossier was a thing. They'd find Alexandria, kill everybody. It didn't make sense that they were just going to leave anyways, because Jadis would definitely come after them. And then in the previews, we saw that that's what was going to happen. And we saw the scene where, in this episode, where Michonne was pretending like, yeah, we have to go back to try to fool Jadis, except that that's what they actually decided to do anyways. And so I was basically right that it was kind of a waste of an episode where we could have gotten more meat to the actual story instead of a full-length Jadis thing. Now, while I appreciated seeing Gabriel, I didn't need to see Gabriel. I didn't need the ring for Rick and Michonne. I feel like that could have been found somewhere. He could have found his own ring. I didn't need it that way. What we could have had instead was them in the last episode heading back to the CRM to deal with Jadis, to deal with the dossier. And while they're dealing with that, we get some of the Jadis backstory, and we get the echelon briefing. We get to start seeing what's going on, and Rick making moves to do what he's going to do there, because that's what they're going to do now. They're going to save the world. They're going to save Alexandria. They're going to get the dossier, and they're going to solve the problems that was basically what Okafor wanted Rick and What's-Her-Face to do in the first place. And so we wasted a whole episode, spent a whole episode out and about testing our luck, Rick and Michonne, luck's still holding, but what does Rick always say? Luck runs out, right? So we knew that it was going to run out. It was nice to see them out. It was nice to see them enjoying each other, but at the same point in time, I'm concerned about the last episode being rushed in a lot of ways, that we might not be able to have a comprehensive conclusion for a lot of things. I don't want that. I want a nice, solid ending where everything gets wrapped up in a nice, tidy little bow like it's Christmas. That's what I want, and I'm concerned we're not going to get that. So at the end, if you watch the trailer for the next episode, you can see they're back with the CRM. Even Michonne's in like full CRM gear. Rick's obviously probably been promoted at that point, with Michonne working directly under him. And they're gonna, get the dossier and destroy that, blah, 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 blah. But it doesn't make any sense that they're gonna come back to the CRM, all this time later. Rick's not even in his CRM gear. He doesn't even have his hand now, right? I guess maybe he went back and got it, but regardless, he doesn't have any of his gear or anything. She's not in her CRM gear, and they're just going to be like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, just come on in. I'm sure there'll be a small questioning scene, but it'll just be like, okay, whatever, just come back in, screw it. Nah, it'll be fine, right? I'm sure they can't spend too much time on that, otherwise they're going to miss out on the other parts of the story. And see, this is my concern, that episode 6 is just going to be so rushed. In reality, with the amount of escape attempts that Rick had, the weirdness of the helicopter crashing in the storm, I just don't feel like Beale, for example, would not be suspicious of Rick and just go ahead and give him his echelon briefing, give him his promotion, and say, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Whatever. We're good. Especially with how concerned these people are about secrecy of the place, I feel like they would take this a little more seriously. And so them coming back in the next episode and not the episode 5, it just doesn't seem right to me. I think if they came back in episode 5, they'd still be questioned. Let alone episode 6, completely out of gear, completely out of uniform. To me, if I was the leader, if I was Beale, who's already suspicious of him, that would be a lot of red flags for me. It would be a ton of red flags for me. Yeah, so I'm a little concerned with episode 6 and how it's going to go. I still have high hopes, but I am very concerned. So there's that. And, maybe I'm looking too much into it. Maybe I'm living on the edge of fear here, but my concerns did happen in this episode. Everything I was worried about from the last going into this is what exactly happened in this. And so I'm concerned that we're going to have loose ends in the next episode. Because in my experience, that seems to be what happens when they have all these things going on, and then one episode is later, at least something is going to kind of get left behind, left in the dust. And I don't want to see any of that. I want solid resolutions to everything. And I don't think we're wrong for expecting that. We've gone very long as viewers for all these different shows where we just keep getting bad writing, bad acting, bad directing, and we just kind of put up with it. And I think we need to all have a higher expectation for our TV shows, especially the bigger quality TV shows, the ones that have massive budgets and stuff. Not that this show has a massive budget, but I'm talking about like Lord of the Rings and whatnot. We need to have a higher expectations and hold these companies accountable with our viewerships from now on. We really do. And this is still a good show. It is still a good show. I might be down on it a little bit right now, but honestly, it's still a good show. I'm still giving this an 8 as an episode, and it's still worth watching all of this season. There are some very good episodes, and then there's a couple that are more average, I would say, but it's still a good show to watch. And as of now, I'm still not saying don't watch this show. They would have to really butcher the next episode in order for me to not watch it. Like Rick and Michonne die, and Alexandria gets burnt to the ground, and whatever. It would have to be bad. It would have to be really, really bad, really off-putting. So it's still definitely worth watching. Watch it if you can. But I am glad Jadis is dead, because she should have died forever ago. Honestly, I think Negan should have taken care of her. I think back in the day, Negan should have just taken care of her. She's not trustworthy. She's a backstabber. She always reneges on her contracts and deals. I think she should have been gone forever ago. I don't know why Negan let her live. I don't know why Rick let her live. She just is a piece of poop. So that being said, that is the end of this video. Still worth watching. It was a good episode. It really was. I actually like the episode itself. I just don't like the direction we're taking for the story in regards to, loose ends. But go watch it. If you haven't watched it, still worth watching. It is better than the last episode. But other than that, that's about it. If you disagree with me, put it down in the comments. If you do agree with me, put it down in the comments. If you have questions or you have different concerns, put those down there as well. I am curious to see what you guys think. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out. I do appreciate it, and I do look forward to everyone in the next video. Otherwise, until then, take care.